right. So how many people in recovery does it take to move some chairs? Let's move closer. Come on, let's all move around here. We're all friends, right? We're all friends here, aren't we? We're mildly frightened. Yes, that close. You can see how she is, right? Okay. Oh, wow, here's that $5 I was looking for. I think it was his. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so I think that's for the basket. Okay, so first we're going to get started by introducing our panel. These guys are going to try to help shed some light on some of our recovery questions. There are just so many of them, I just don't even know what to do. So who are you? And tell us your area of recovery and your sobriety date.
My name is Dominic, and I'm in recovery from sexual addiction, and my recovery date is August 13, 2015.
Hey, Dominic.
Hey, Dom.
My name is Anthony. I'm in recovery from drug and alcohol abuse, and my sobriety date is January 24th of 2020.
Woo! And
Hi, my name is Victoria, and I'm a Christian in recovery from drugs and alcohol, and my sobriety date is 5/6/2016.
Victoria!
I'm Sherry, and I choose recovery today from drug and alcohol addiction and bulimia, and I got sober in 1978. So it's
We gonna ask her all. That's right. All the questions.
All right, we're done
here. Okay. And we're all, yeah. Sorry, Sherry.
I was 3.
All right. And my sobriety date is November 27th, 1985. And Sherry will always have more sobriety than I do. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for agreeing to come and try to do this. This is quite a task, and we know that we have to call upon the Holy Spirit, really, for guidance and, just the experience that we've had in recovery to try to get this done. But before we get started, I want to say this. Questions are good. Mm-hmm. Questions are really good. Even better than just having questions is actually asking the questions that you have out loud. Because everybody has them, but a lot of times I've had questions and I've been too prideful or embarrassed to actually ask anybody about them. And it's a terrible feeling, isn't it? I mean, I think we've all been in this situation where everyone else seems to know what's going on except for me, right? And I don't, and people are using language that I'm not sure and it doesn't make sense to me because they've all been together a long time and they've got jargon and history and experience and all of that. And so and they're all familiar with each other. Now, anybody ever be in that situation before? Yeah, right? That's not fun. In fact, I was just in one of those situations recently. My friend Sherry and I had a meeting with a recovery guy who's doing really remarkable things with halfway houses and treatment and all kinds of things, and we were so interested in meeting him, and he knew a lot of things, and he could talk really easily about the ins and outs of what he did. But frankly, for me, I mean, a lot of it was Greek. It was hard to follow some of the abbreviations he used and some of the agencies he was a part of, right, Sherry? Some of the treatment plans and caseworker stuff. I mean, like, I'm just a person in recovery, you know what I mean? I don't know this, and it made me feel really anxious, actually. I mean, not being able to keep up with what he was saying, because I don't like not feeling smart enough. Mm-hmm. Anybody with me? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Okay, yeah, right? Because here's the deal. You really don't have to feel stupid or inferior when you ask questions and you don't know everything about it recovery, because nobody does. I mean, we may say that, we're a panel of experts, but we have our questions as well. The only way we learn is by asking them out loud. And so that's what I did on, Thursday. I began to ask questions. I began to ask this guy to slow down a little bit and explain some of what he meant. In fact, several times about the same thing. Can you explain it again? No, really, again. Okay, stop. I need to hear this again. And you know who taught me about this is Jesus. Jesus is the one who taught me about being humble, about not knowing everything, and asking questions to find out what I don't know about. Because in the Bible, there are four specific people who told the story of Jesus' life in the Bible. There were his friends Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And their account of Jesus' life, in fact, are the four gospel books of the Bible entitled by their name, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus is recorded as saying this. In Matthew chapter 7, verses 7 and 8, here's the words of Jesus. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. Woo! So Jesus is instructing us to ask questions, right? He's telling us to do it. He says if we ask, the answer will be given. If we seek, the answer will be found. If we knock on the door of Jesus' wisdom, he's going to open it for us. We're promised answers if we seek and ask and knock. Now, if we don't do those things, I mean, our questions remain unanswered, right? And then when we do that, we stay in the dark, feeling alone, not belonging, apart from, because we don't know what's going on. But if we do ask and seek and knock, we gain this sense of belonging with one another. And chances are others have the same questions that we have as well. In fact, my friend Sherry here chimed in with a few of her own questions, and vice versa, when we were together with this guy. So tonight is all about questions and answers. And I want you to know that you can always ask questions in recovery. No question is stupid when it's asked sincerely as a plea to find out what we need to know about recovery. Jesus gives us people, gives us each other, we're better together, gives us people in recovery to lead the way, and he gives us sponsors and people in the groups and the meetings, recovery elders, and that's why it's important to go to meetings, by the way. It really is, because we learn things in meetings. We ask things in meetings, we hear answers to things in meetings, so, but that's another thing. Anyway, so here's who we have tonight. I'm going to stop talking, and we're going to see how we can chew on the actual questions you have asked tonight, and there's so many of them. I don't even know where to start. There's a lot. Okay.
Can I just tell you how scary this is? Because we don't know
And it is.
what
It is
to expect.
So scary.
I'm just saying.
It's so scary. You know why? Because like we're asking questions, and they're like, I don't know. Maybe what if I don't know the answer to this question, right? Right? What if we don't know? But I'm going to pick on you first, Sherry. Because she's frightened and she's admitting it. So, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to, do this thing. I'm going to ask you a couple of things about Jesus.
Okay.
A few of our friends are asking questions like this. Why Jesus? Why Jesus? And I read in a book that God always protects us, but really bad things happen. Does God really always protect us, or does he just promise to get us through our trials? And so those are good questions. Why Jesus? And how does Jesus play into this life of recovery of ours? He is one of the 5 essentials, right?
Yeah, those are great questions. And, I was sharing with a friend today, we have only human words, only our vocabulary to describe something that is indescribable. And so why Jesus is a great question, and I want to invite you to ask Jesus to reveal the answer to you. A great question is, or a great prayer is, please reveal yourself to me. A prayer prayed in earnest and over again, because the revelation that would come from him would be profoundly better than anything any of us could say. But God so loved the world, and God so loved you, that he sent Jesus to share with us who God actually is. Jesus is Emmanuel, meaning God with us. And if we want to know who God is, and we say we do, we seek God. If we want to know who God is, he says, it's me. I'm the way and the truth and the life. If you want to know who God is, look at Jesus. So that's, besides that and salvation, it is being forgiven and cleansed and set free and relieved of guilt and shame and remorse and given a whole new life and a whole fresh start. And so there's a whole bunch of why Jesus. That's just a few of the things. So
Good stuff. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, Sherry. We have a few, might as well almost go down the 5 essentials, right? Anthony, I want to ask you these. He's like, oh no. He's like, did you see him jump like that? It was great. There's a little cruelty involved in being able to ask people these questions as well. We have some people who are asking questions about the steps, the 12 steps of recovery. Why do I need to work the steps? How soon should I begin to work the steps, and how long does that take, once I get started? And are you ever done doing it? All right, next. Who said that? Or is it no?
I think those are all good questions, and those are questions that I would even ask too when I was early in recovery. I think the important thing is, when you're asking why do we do these 12 steps, is when I came into the rooms, I didn't have any discipline. Most people that struggle with addictions, like I do, I wasn't disciplined. And the 12 steps, what that does is it gives me the opportunity to slow down, do things one step at a time. It gave me the opportunity to come out of myself and ask for a sponsor. A lot of these questions are answered by getting a sponsor, because these are things I can bounce off my sponsor, like how soon should I do this? Well, hopefully the sponsor that you found is someone who you can relate with, who can relate with you and say, hey, this is what worked for me, maybe it'll work for you, And once I don't have to question why my sponsor is telling me to, we're working step 1 today or whatever the case may be is, and next week we'll work the next step. All I need to do is just accept the fact that my sponsor is sober, hopefully. My sponsor is sober and has worked these steps, and his sponsor or her sponsor has worked these steps and showed them how to do it, and all they're doing is relaying a message. You know what I mean? So it's a well-worn path, and I work these steps because it's what I'm suggested to do, and I see it working in a lot of people around me.
Excellent. Thank you, Anthony. In fact, I think you answered Dominic's questions as well, but I'm going to ask you these.
Thanks, Anthony.
Because this is about sponsorship, right? So we're asking about steps, the 12 steps of recovery, which is the pathway that we follow to get closer to Jesus and to stay free from our addictions, afflictions, and compulsive behaviors. But sponsor, we always have sponsor questions, and these are good questions because it's scary to get a sponsor. You know what I mean? It's like they just ask somebody to. It's almost like you're asking them out or something. You know what I mean? It's like, will you be my friend? I really need you. But here's a couple of questions that people have asked about sponsorship. If Dominic, if you could shed some light, because I know that you sponsor people and you do such a wonderful job with folks. The questions are, if I have Jesus in my heart, why do I need a sponsor? Number one. It's a good question, isn't it? What traits make a good sponsor? And how do you know when it's time to get a different sponsor?
Dun, dun, dun.
Written by one of Dom's sponsees. I'm just saying. So I figured I'd get back and just give it to Dom.
I hope that was from all of them. Take that back.
Jesus in my heart, why do I need a sponsor? What traits make a good sponsor? And how do I know when it's time to get a new one?
Okay, I think I'm going to address the last one first. And mainly because that has come up recently with a lot of people that are both in my group and outside my group about sponsors. And the one thing that I find the reason that the relationship is not working between them and their sponsors, the biggest reason is unavailability of the sponsor. That is so important for a sponsor to be there. Now, I'm fortunate in that I'm retired, so most of the time I can immediately respond. However, there are times I can't, but I will always make arrangements to either text them and tell them I'll call them later, or if it's a real serious situation, I will take the call. So availability is one big area for that. When you're asking someone to be a sponsor, you want someone that's going to be able to be there for you and be committed to being a sponsor. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. To be a good sponsor, you do have to be committed. To look for a good sponsor, you have to be also committed to look for the traits that are going to be compatible with you. There's certain things that you should look for in a sponsor, in addition to being available, and that's some of those things are, is he walking his talk? There's a lot of people out there that don't know how to be a sponsor. So it's good to think about it. Anytime someone asks me to be a sponsor, I tell them, let's take a week and think about it. And when you come back, I'd like to know why you want me to be your sponsor. Because that sets the stage for them to think about that and have a reason. Okay, why a sponsor if you have Jesus in your heart? That's an amazing question. The answer is that, in my opinion, is that Jesus wants you to have a sponsor. Jesus appointed, when he left this earth, he appointed 12 apostles to carry on his mission. And when you're a sponsor, that's exactly what you're doing. You are being God's, you're being God's hands and feet here on earth. He's no longer here, and he needs us to carry on his word. So that is the best reason that I can think of for why you need a sponsor.
Preach it, Tom.
Preach it.
Go.
No, I don't want to preach it. I'm just saying it. There was a third question. I'm sorry, I forgot.
I don't know. I think you covered them all.
Okay,
I really
good.
do. I think
Awesome.
I think you got them all.
Right.
Hey, Christopher, do me a favor. Is my phone down there? Is my phone down there somewhere? Man,
It was in your pocket.
I don't know where it is. The reason I want my phone is because I want to get the online folks. I want. It's off. Do I want? Okay. I know somebody online has asked a question similar to this, and so if I don't say it exactly, please forgive me. But one of our online friends are along the same lines as this in Victoria. Yeah, she's like, oh. It's that,
great.
yes. But before we get to that, I thought I'd just ask, somebody asked this, and they asked, how do I know when I'm replacing one bad habit with another one? And I want to answer this one. It's when you get in a relationship. All right? That's when you know. Okay. I know there's better answers to that, but I just thought I would just throw that in there right there. Okay. So Victoria. And these are like some complacency questions. How do I keep the fire stoked in recovery? What do you do when you become complacent, feeling like growth has stopped? I'm in a funk. Should I concentrate on a particular step or something to feel better? How can I stay in my recovery if I'm just not feeling it? So this is a lot about, that perseverance in the program. So can you speak to that?
Yeah.
We are happy, joyous, and free after all, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. And so, when I thought about that, when I heard those questions, but they're great questions, by the way, is that feelings aren't facts, and we go through life a lot of times feeling I know I feel like I don't feel like getting up to go to work, but I have to, right? I don't feel like getting up and doing my makeup, but I do it. So a lot of times feelings aren't facts. But I have quite often in my sobriety time felt complacent. Like I felt like I didn't have that fire anymore, right? So I got with my sponsor at the time, and we looked. And a lot of times for me, it was a spiritual situation that I had going on, right? I wasn't going to meetings as much as I should. I wasn't having any sponsees to spread the message to anymore. Like I wasn't spreading that fire, so I didn't feel that fire either, right? And I feel like, 10, 11, and 12 are our daily maintenance steps. And when I'm lacking in one of those steps, I start to feel complacent and I start to lose that fire, right? Because those are the steps that keep that fire burning inside of me on a daily basis. And I'm I'm tired. Sometimes I don't do my 10-step when I go to home or when I go to bed. And I can tell when I wake up the next day because my spirit feels off. And I got to look and see. Like recently, I got in a disagreement with a coworker, and I left that conversation just feeling yucky. Like I tried to think about it, and I couldn't feel what my problem was. I did my 10-step that night, and I couldn't feel what my problem was. But I got up the next day, and I meditated with God. And God brought to my attention what I needed to do in that moment. And so I went and spoke to that coworker, and I apologized for my behavior, and we evened it out. But I was able to keep that fire burning in my recovery by doing my 10, 11, and 12 on a daily basis.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Victoria. That is good stuff right there. That is recovery gold right there, girlfriend. Absolutely, yes. Boom, drop the mic, but don't really, because the tech team would be so upset. I'm sorry, Thomas. I'm very sorry. I should not have said those words. Okay. Dominic's sponsees are really tough on him. Please, they really are. Please ask Dominic your hardest question. This is actually a thing. This is a thing. This is the thing. Okay, but I love you, Dominic, and I'm not going to do that. Okay. Pastor Sherry, I'm a Christian. I love Jesus and the Bible. I go to church. I go to meetings, but I can't seem to stop rebelling against my sponsor, and I keep getting drunk. I'm feeling hopeless about myself. How can I submit to direction?
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's such an interesting question, because when we were singing the song, Yes, I Will, some rebellion was being revealed in me during that song. I was sitting down because there's this thing in me, and there's something in many of us that wants control, wants to be able to do it my way, don't want to surrender everything, at least not that thing. And the sad news is that it is generally excruciating pain that will cause us to then surrender that thing and decide, you touched on it beautifully, like, I don't want to go to meetings, and I don't feel like doing this, and so I'm not going to do that. And then we experience pain. And so I think that where there's sobriety, there's always hope, and that at some point in time, whoever the questioner is, and I am going to mature enough to the point where we surrender. We surrender to the program. We surrender to what God desires for us and for what others before us have done. And I actually pray that all of us, because I think every single one of us has one or two areas in our life that are unsurrendered. I could be wrong. Do you think I'm wrong? Okay. And those are our little areas of rebellion. So know that you're not alone. However, I do think that we want to live a life that's happy, joyous, and free. And probably in those areas of rebellion, we're doing this. And that doesn't look happy, joyous, and free. And it's not a good look either. But anyway, I suggest surrender. After all of that.
It's a good suggestion. Absolutely. Man, there are some good questions and answers tonight. Everybody say yeah.
Yeah.
There are good questions and answers tonight. This is the last one. I'm going to take a little shot at it because I really believe in this. Somebody wrote, I just got sober a few months ago. Can I give back even though I'm new? And that is a really good question. And I want to let you know that yes, the answer is absolutely yes. Perhaps you're not in a place where you can sponsor somebody else yet. Your sponsor will certainly allow you to know when that's good for you. If you're in codependency, particularly, chances are you should get with somebody in your group to make sure you're not enabling in this desire to help all the time. But the answer is yes, absolutely. There are so many ways. There's so many ways you can serve here at Choose Recovery. You can serve at your church. You can serve in the world. Absolutely. And here's why. Because I know when somebody who has just a little bit of time in recovery says hi to a newcomer or greets them or makes them feel welcome, that newcomer thinks, I might could do a few months. I might could do a few months here. You got 3 months? I might could do that. But if somebody with 10 years or 20 years does the same thing, they go, I'm out. I can't do 10 years. I can't do 20 years. I'm having trouble doing 24 hours of freedom from, whatever bondage they're in. So, yes, absolutely. And I ask you, whoever you are, just see any of us afterwards, and we'll be glad to show you some ways you can serve, or ask your sponsor, and they'll be glad to point that out as well. So I just want to thank everybody here for being awesome. And as they make their way away, at least these three guys and Victoria are going to do it. And as the band makes their way back up, I'm going to ask that Pastor Sherry say a few words and help us to close up today. Thanks, Sherry. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be at Choose Recovery. I think when I got here, I didn't realize how many areas of recovery I needed. I was sober, and so I thought it was all good. And then I found out that I had a lot of other areas of brokenness in my life, and I really just didn't see them until I came here. And what I found out is I really needed to go into just about every door of recovery that we have available here. Anybody else? Yeah. So I was thinking too tonight, Pastor Arlene asked me to share a few words, to invite you to come up to this rail to pray. And what I was thinking about is that because we all have questions, because we all have needs, and because we're all working at this, we're all doing the best we can today, aren't we? And I was just wondering if you could just look around at the room and look at the people here tonight and look at them with grace and love and think what a wonderful world it would be if we could all be in places where people were encouraging, where we lift our wounded, we don't kick them, where we encourage people and help them and root for each other and walk arm in arm or hand in hand together through this world, because we're doing it together, we're not doing it alone. So I want to invite you, as the band begins to play, to come up to this rail, and I want to ask you to just grab somebody. Grab somebody and say, how can I pray for you? And pray for each other. It says if we pray for each other, that we can be healed. How many want healing in here tonight? I know I do. I'm gonna grab that guy right there. And I'm gonna pray for him, and I'm gonna ask him to pray for me. So, and if you don't have anybody tonight, come up. There are people to pray for you, but do yourself and your bestie or your loved one a solid. Bring them up here. let's pray for one another so that we can be healed. Amen? Amen. The altar is open.